Boundless Arpeggio, Book 1, Chapter 1, Light on a Blade. In the bitter cold, with winter at her full strength, two small ivory-tinted hands held a letter that read the following words. New orders. Introduce the 3 council members whom the client spoke of to the cold embrace along with the mayor. They should all be in the same room. If they are not, we will charge the usual amount for our troubles. As always, you fail, you die. Headmaster Roche. As the reader admired the dancing flames burning the letter, the fire was even more beautiful when gazed at upon the screen of her hazel eyes of green and gold. The fire burned her fingertips until it was no more. Elena had the look of victory in her eyes over withstanding the flame's bite without flinching. She waited with great patience. On the rooftop of the building, she was destined to add to the count of lives ended at her dainty hands. The city of Mareth was full of life. It was part of the Trueness Empire, the largest and wealthiest nation in all of Dhurna. Mainly a merchant city, this southern Trueness city's roads and buildings were made of smooth gray stone. The streets below Elena were filled with loud arguments and laughter, horses galloping, blacksmiths banging, and children playing. The streets were littered with tall lamps powered by small stoned orbs called kasai. The buildings were close together, a perfect place for an assassin to move with ease on the rooftops and never need to step foot on the ground. Many rooftops had tables, chairs, and fire pits, so the people could enjoy the evening sounds and sights. She laid her small frame down with her hands behind her head, full of thick, wavy hair, blacker than what one sees when closing their eyes. She listened to the sounds of the city on the empty roof and enjoyed the solitude. Snowflakes landed on her full lips, and she licked them to sample a taste. Her skin, a couple of shades darker than the snow that surrounded her petite body, which was arrayed with scars and dressed in the black-fitting fabric of cloth for mobility and thick leather for protection, the garments of an assassin. She took a deep breath and opened her unbelievably large eyes. It was as if the gold and green were at war within her hazel eyes, both fighting for the spotlight of her iris. Elena rose and leaped off the 4-story building and maneuvered her body until she was upside down in midair, still airborne. She suddenly dashed with incredible swiftness through an open window, so fast that she appeared as a blur. She surveyed the area as she landed softly on the floor, noticing every tiny detail. She walked calmly around the corner as she approached a balcony overlooking a banquet room. The cold feeling of death moved with her. She came to an open area with a woman and 3 men sitting at a rectangular table of food, filling the room with laughter and conniving smiles. With walls painted gold and red fabric draping the walls, the space was elegant for a banquet room in a merchant town. The room was closed off, and the guards patrolled the halls as the wealthy and influential group enjoyed themselves. The tall, beautiful blonde mayor sat center, facing the men. As the guards moved away from the door of the room on their patrol, she hurled herself off the balcony and threw a small knife towards the shocked mayor. Elena pulled out 2 large daggers, and as she landed, the knife she threw pierced the mayor's throat. Elena's hood slid back to reveal the face of an angel, with the eyes of a heartless killer. The 3 councilmen who turned to face the intruder were frozen in fear. Elena sensed this unbearable fear that gripped the men, with their mayor lifeless before them. Elena slowly walked towards the large, burly man on her right. She delicately grabbed the man by the chin and intently leaned in towards him. Captivated by her otherworldly, massive eyes, he was speechless. Close enough to feel his breath, if he wasn't holding it out of shock. She threw her blade through the heart of the tall, thin man who watched the show on her left and whispered to the burly man enslaved by her aura, "Don't move, and I'll make it painless." At that moment, the 3rd man gasped for all the breath he could muster up to call for the guards. Elena pulled the blade out of the chest of the thin man and threw it into the leg of the would-be snitch, leaped to his side, and grabbed a handful of his hair.
If you had any guts, you would remove this blade from your leg and take care of me yourself.
The man released a soft moan. Thoughts of tomorrow and yesterday filled his mind as tears raced down his face. Elena then removed the blade from his leg, put it in his heart, and slowly switched her gaze to the large, burly man enslaved by her. She walked confidently towards him with her eyes locked on his.
Thank you for being so obedient.
He desperately wanted to say something, anything. Don't kill me. Or maybe tell my wife I loved her. Or perhaps even a, yes, ma'am. But all he could muster up was a... Elena tightly gripped his throat and shoved a small throwing knife through the side of his throat for an instant, painless death. At the sudden silence, 2 guards rushed in with spears drawn, and Elena ran towards them, leaped onto the taller one's shoulders, jumped as high as she could, then dashed into a blur, grasping the upper-level floor and pulling herself up. She ran down the hall, around the corner, and out of the window she went. She escaped into the dark cold and was gone just as fast as she came.
One more mission, then I can return,
she thought to herself. Elena remained in the city of Merith and rested on the rooftops of the merchants' building. The congregation, the group that trained Elena since childhood, had been watching her next target for weeks. They provided the information that he would be arriving the next day at the merchants' building for a meeting. Lucky her. 2 missions in the same city. Elena awoke with a kiss from the warmth of the sun. She stretched, took a deep breath, and began to prepare herself for the next hunt. After the sun's rays reached her without obstruction, she moved to the adjacent building to get a clear view of her prey entering the building. A few moments later, a short, slender, small-framed man, appearing to be in his mid-30s, entered the building. His name was Nibiri, and he was Elena's next target. A man from the Order of Hagios, a reclusive group who valued wisdom and harmony above most things. They traveled the land, lending their wisdom when great need arose. Elena was curious because she had only heard about these people. She'd never seen one for herself. She watched as he made his way to the top floor.
Poor guy. He's playing right into my hands.
The man went into the back room at the end of the hall and sat at a small table facing the door, as if he was waiting for someone. Nibiri folded his hands and closed his brown eyes as if he was deep in thought. His eyelashes were dark, thick, and reaching out and back in, like a finger motioning for someone to come closer. His brown skin, narrow face, and high cheekbones were on full display as his short black hair curled and tapered down to his short beard. The servant women down the hall said that it was a shame that such a handsome face was wasted on a man who wasn't tempted to even glance their way. Elena made her way down the hall from Nibiri and waited for at least an hour in the adjacent room. She didn't want to risk being caught by the person Nibiri was meeting. If they alarmed others, it would be difficult to escape in the bright of day. Besides, the guards were still searching for her from the previous night. Not wanting to be unlucky enough to have someone spot her while in wait, Elena decided to slowly make her way towards her target. The risk of her getting caught would greatly decrease if she could only make it to the room and shut the door behind her. She slowed her breath and moved silently in Nibiri's direction. He still had his eyes closed, as Elena drew one of her blades and stepped over the threshold and into the small meeting room. Nibiri, with his eyes still closed, spoke.
You're late. You may close the door if you like.
Elena kept careful watch to make sure his eyes were closed as she softly shut the door. Several guards were making their way down the hall at this point. They were searching for the mayor's killer. Once Elena shut the door, she knew she had enough time to make the kill and get away.
I'm not late. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Nibiri, but you won't be meeting the person you were waiting on.
Nibiri slowly opened his eyes.
You are wrong. I will meet with the person I was waiting on.
Oh, really? You must think highly of yourself if you think you can fight me, win, and still have enough blood in your body to have your meeting.
No, you are quite mistaken, pretty young lady. The person I have been waiting on is you.
Elena hesitated.
I won't allow the clever words of some monk who knows that his end is near to distract me from my kill.
Elena ran and dashed towards Nibiri, aiming for his mouth with the intent to slay him with irony in his big, fat, sarcastic mouth. Nibiri flipped the table in front of him and dived out of the way. Elena's kick was then blocked by Nibiri, but her blade soon followed and pierced his right thigh. With the scent of blood in her nostrils, Elena went in for the kill with her other blade, but Nibiri pulled his twin sai out and blocked Elena's blade before trapping it. Shocked but enraged, Elena jumped in the air, then, like a blur, dashed towards Nibiri with both blades. At that moment, the guards kicked in the door, but not before one of Elena's blades went through Nibiri's right shoulder. Nibiri used the distraction of the guards to attempt a knee to Elena's stomach, but she was not distracted one bit. She blocked his knee, and Nibiri pushed her back with great force. As the guards approached her, she made her way towards the only window in the room. Nibiri blocked her path and managed to strike her in the head with the handle of his sai. Desperate, Elena reached for a small knife and ran towards the guards. As she leaped at them, she threw it at Nibiri, piercing him in the arm. She then dashed and sliced one of the guards' legs and made her way past them and down the hall. They followed her with great haste. Nibiri sat down on the floor to dress his wounds and removed the dagger from his shoulder. Realizing that it was laced with poison, Nibiri smiled as he shook his head.
Clever girl.
Elena made it to an exit and leaped out of the second-story window, only to be shot in her side with an arrow. Her armor and a bit of luck prevented it from going deep. As she recovered from a rough landing, she was surrounded by a dozen guards and could hear more on the way. She looked past the guards to see more guards clearing the streets of people, making it harder for her to blend in with the crowd. Elena had 3 choices: take her own life, risk a fight with the hope that she wins and still has the strength to escape, or she could surrender and escape later.
At least I killed him and am able to return home without death waiting for me.
The beautiful assassin chose to surrender and escape as soon as her enemies made a mistake. As she was moved to a prison cell to await penalty, Elena used this time to rest and plan her escape. Several hours later, the governor entered to speak with her. He was a red-haired, plain-looking man who walked with a limp. Small cells aligned one side, while a thick wall with windows across from each cell stood on the other. "Leave me alone with the prisoner," he ordered. He stared at her with a proud, devilish grin. "I hope you're the one we have to pay for the job last night, because we can just take the money back once you're dead tomorrow morning."
You hired us to kill the mayor. Why capture me then?
"The people need justice from their governor," he answered.
But you were already more powerful than the mayor. Why kill her?
"She and some of the council members were plotting against me," he answered.
You are an arrogant fool of a governor to say any of this aloud.
"I'm too powerful for anyone to challenge me now. And you would die anyway because you failed your mission." "Isn't that the rule you congregation people live by?" he whispered with a haughty smirk.
I killed them all, you fool.
"Not the Hagios guy, or whatever you call him. He lives," the governor arrogantly informed.
You lie.
"Those wise, reclusive Hagios guys are immune to poison. I thought you congregation people knew that, little girl."
They are resistant, not immune. It was coated in Western brown snake venom, you imbecile. No one can survive that.
The sly governor smirked. "Oh well, You die tomorrow anyway, he said as he walked away, while Elena continued to scream.
You lie!
Despair began to grip and tug relentlessly at Elena's heart. The realization that if that red-haired fool of a governor wasn't lying, she would be killed even if she escaped before her execution. The congregation did not accept failure. Headmaster Roche would torture her for hours, then kill her if she returned without completing her mission. And running from the congregation would be impossible. They are in every corner of Dhurna. As Elena's eyes began to water, Nibiri walked into her cell block and stood in front of her cell. She rushed at him with great fury, screaming with the intent to choke him to death. Nibiri stepped back from her cell and watched the thunderbolt of a revelation that he was alive and she would die tomorrow set in. Some in the Order of Hagios have an ability they refer to as open eyes. This ability allows them to see into a person's heart and observe not only their character and emotions. The person's emotions they are observing look like a living entity of colors. Nibiri watched Elena as desperation moved from the pit of her stomach upwards and into her heart and morphed into deep despondency.
Trunus's elite troops are on their way to make sure you don't escape while being escorted to the chopping block. You are a skilled child, but not even you can get out of this.
Full of sincerity and warmth in his deep eyes, Nibiri looked at Elena.
I will take care of it. I'll free you from this prison and your execution. I'll also work things out with your leader. He is called Roche, correct?
Elena was shocked that this man knew the name of her headmaster and that he wanted to free her. She was speechless.
I know you don't think he will let you live, but I'll figure it out. I'm not letting you kill me, though. So I'll have to work it out another way.
Still at a loss for words, Elena could do nothing but stare at him. 1,000 thoughts rushed through her mind.
Why? Who is he? Are all Hagios like this? I'm a pretty good judge of people. I have to be. I'm an assassin. He's not interested in the slave girl for pleasure. He seems to be a kind man. He has to be. He's of the Hagios order. Can he really free me from my cell and work out a deal with Roche?
Elena was perplexed. She still couldn't speak one word.
Cast your fear and worry away. Do you not want me to help you?
Elena blinked slowly and finally regained her composure. She looked him in his eyes.
What makes you think I need your help, you idiot?
Because you do need my help. I'm your only way out.
What makes you think I want it, then?
What is your name, child?
You don't deserve to know my name, and I'm no child.
Nibiri shook his head in approval.
My apologies, young lady. You are no child. You've never known childhood.
You don't know one thing about me, you dumb coward.
You're wrong, beautiful young lady. I'm thinking of at least 3 things that I know about you all too well, and 2 more that you don't even know about yourself.
Elena just stared at Nibiri. She didn't know what to say, because somehow, somewhere deep down, she knew he was right. Light from a lamppost shined through the small window behind Nibiri and stretched towards Elena. The light covered him. It was as if he shined onto her. Elena, stubborn and calloused, with a heart as hard as steel. Nibiri, kind, patient, and as pure in heart as the light that shined on him. At that moment, the 2 of them looked like a picture of light shining on a blade.
I'll ask you then. Do you want me to help you?
Pride rose up inside of her. It was as if she had no control of her own tongue. Before she could stop herself, with a cold, toned voice, she answered,
No.
Okay.
He left her alone. She wanted to stop him. She wanted to say that she was sorry, that she didn't mean it, that she took it back. She wanted to say,
Yes, I need your help.
Everything in her wanted to cry out for help, but she stood silently and watched Nabiri walk away, and she hated herself for it.
There's a yearning in me, there's a burning in me. I'm hoping for something more. My future is waiting patiently in front of me. I will answer the call. I will rise to the occasion. I will open the door. Though my struggles are ever greater. Even when my heart fails me, I will declare that I'm unstoppable. I will continue standing tall. I will answer the call. I will answer the call.